Hi, ladies. We'll get started here momentarily.
So yeah, whenever you like.
Mm-hmm.
Sooner the better for you. Is that what you're thinking?
It doesn't matter. So maybe within next couple of weeks or something.
Okay. Well, I leave on the 16th to the 21st.
Okay.
Then by the time I get home, I'll be packing, moving till the 1st.
Got it. So maybe we should do it before you guys leave.
That long, though, honestly.
And it won't take me that long. You know, maybe we can meet like for breakfast or coffee or something.
Bring Stephanie.
So that's fine. Yeah. All right, I'm going to give you a few minutes. You guys can go and stretch and warm up on your own. And then we'll jump right into it. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to spend about half of the class working on Poomsae, kind of the details, making sure you guys know your stances and things like that. And then the second half of it will kind of open it up for you guys to kind of give me suggestions of what you want to work on or what you feel like you need help with as we prepare, because we're now in September. So you got September, October, November, and then December will be here before you know it. 3 months. 3 months and a week before December testing. Comes up quick. 12 weeks. 13 weeks. 13 weeks.
It's like 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3
Mm-hmm.
to 4.
Mr. Isaiah, you have to plug in the camera. Remember, we unplugged it. You have to plug it back in. So you guys have about 5 minutes to warm it up. All right, 2 more minutes. So as you guys are stretching and thinking about this, when we start Poomsae, I'm going to just have you guys start on your own. What we're going to do is we're going to concentrate on that walking stance. The walking stance, the apsogi. All right, so we want to always imagine whichever direction that I'm doing my walking stance in, I want to imagine that I'm standing in a chumbi position, right? My feet 1 foot length apart from each other. And that's what the way I want to make my walking stance is from that width. Okay, so as I step forward three steps, I just pivot my back foot just a little bit. So if I'm turning to my left, I need to make sure that I move my foot far enough back that it's parallel, like I'm doing a walking, or like I'm doing a chumbi position facing to the side. And then I just adjust my angle with my back foot. So the back heel is going to turn toward the inside, right? To open up that 30 degrees. So that back heel turns just a little bit. All right, so go ahead and warm up with a couple of the Poomsaes. Maybe keep an air chant. Keep an air chant is pretty easy to work with on those walking stances to get your spacing down. When you turn, kind of square those shoulders up. Make sure that it's wide enough as a chumbi stance. All right, and the other thing you want to make sure is that your hips and your shoulders are in the same line. So we don't want, from a side view, right? If I'm looking at you directly from the side, I should be able to see both shoulders. In this instance here, you can't see my left shoulder here. You can only see my right. Now you can see both. Right? This is to keep your balance. If you don't do this, if you do a lot of this where you square your shoulder off, you're going to find you're going to fall to the outside of your stance. Okay? So from here, right, as you guys see, as I'm looking at the camera, my body's angled. Here, if I turn it and I square off here, I'm going to fall to my left a little bit. Okay, so I'm trying to adjust my angle so that I don't fall. I'm balanced. Okay, so go ahead and work on those walking stances within the Poomsaes for just a little bit. No ITF. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, all you want to do is think about, right? This gives you reach.
Yeah. Well, it does. I mean, it makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to fight like this.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to do that. You're going to be like that. I think it'd probably be easier once you're used to it. But
Yeah, the more you do it, it becomes a lot easier. The other thing, too, as you're moving is when you land in that stance, your technique should occur at the exact same time. Right? So we don't want to land and then do our punch. We don't want to punch and then land our foot. The foot and the hand should work together in sync. And don't worry about snapping things out today or anything. We're just working technique. So the other thing is when you're moving forward, like when you're moving in a straight line or something like that, you want to make sure that your feet always move in a straight line. Sometimes what happens is we tend to start moving toward the line. So we try to put both feet on one line. All right, so we kind of eventually start, that stance gets more and more narrow. So we want to make sure that it's wide enough. It stays wide enough all the way through. You're just keeping it on the same track, on the same track, on the same track. Okay? Much better, sir. Mm. Oh. The depth of it's a lot better.
is it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying.
Cause you're like you're always this way, real short. Mm-hmm. Tightrope walking.
Don't walk like
Yeah, tightrope walking, right? It's just tightrope. All right, we don't want that. So, hi, Mr. Isaiah. We're practicing walking stance. 3 foot lengths, remember. Remember, Miss Sabina, you have to flatten out your stance. You have to push that heel on the ground, even though you're doing walking stance, right? If you don't do that, then you start to, right? We talked about this. No bobblehead, no bobble body, okay? Mm-hmm.
So when you punch, you still want to
A little bit.
a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So you almost lunge a little bit.
And what it does is it sets up, right? Because it's just like this. Right? Same thing, right? Even though right leg is back, right is forward, right? It's almost to the point where it wants to come up, right? Because then it loads it. Then from there you release, and it comes up quicker that way. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, very good, Ms. Rochelle. That's what we want. That's good. So as you're stepping, right, you have to turn that back foot a little bit. So as you step, the heel comes toward the inside of your body. Step up, turn toward the inside of the body. Just a little bit. 1, okay? Oops. I got too close to the camera. You guys didn't see my foot doing what it was supposed to. So you can kind of see my back foot turn just a little bit. Doesn't need to turn a lot, because remember, it's a 30-degree opening, right? So a 30-degree opening here is just this much. That's it, right? It's like this much. That's it. So in our example here, if this is my front foot and this is my back foot, right? These are my toes here. I'm pivoting on the toes and bringing my heel. I'm not pushing my heel and turning my toes out, right? So when we turn, we don't turn like this, right? We turn like this. From the ball of the foot. Okay? Nice socks, dude. Yeah. He loves his little webcam, that's why. Yeah. So he's in his room practicing. So your front stance is the same thing as the walking stance, right? Your up gubi. Same thing as a walking stance. The only difference is it's 1 additional foot length forward. Okay? So what we're looking for is to make sure that the knee and the heel are straight up and down. That back angle is still the same. And once again, the 4 foot lengths or the 4.5 foot lengths is an approximation. It's an approximate. It doesn't have to be an exact science. Okay? What you're looking for is a lot of people, if they try to measure exactly out, right, what usually happens, the stance starts to look like this. Okay? And this particular stance looks like a front stance, but it's not very solid, right? And it's because my knee is over my toes. And instead of here, this is much better. Hold on, let me lower my camera a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit better. All right. All right, so this is what I was originally doing. This is my exactly 4 foot lengths. And as you can see, my knee right now is kind of over my toes. Okay? All right? Kind of looks uncomfortable. All right? By me kind of just using the approximation now, okay? Now my knee is straight up above my ankle. I'm pushing my heel down into the ground, my back heel down into the ground. All right? And it's proportionate. It looks decent. Okay? Once again, you have to maintain that same width as you did with the walking stance, right? That 1 foot length. Width in between the feet. Boom. That's what my front stance should look like. Shoulders again and hip. All right? Just like we did before. Everything is the same. The only difference here is with the apgubi, right? We're deeper. We're deeper, which causes the front knee to bend. Okay? Because we're 4.5 feet, now the front knee bends. Mm-hmm.
So loud, sir. It's hard. Like I'm trying to keep my feet farther apart.
Yeah.
Every time I turn, I'm too close.
Mm-hmm.
That old muscle memory.
Yep.
So the same thing when you do the knee jump. Same thing.
Mm-hmm. You'll be better balanced. You won't have to go so wide on your stance when you do that. Because that's the other thing, right? So you're compensating by stopping here, and so what happens is that forces you here. That way I'm balanced. Because when you're here like this and you stay in place, now that balance pulls you to the side.
Is that wide enough though?
It should always be, yeah, it's this width right here.
So pretty much should be.
You should be with. Yep. Everything, every stance, your walking stance, your back stance, your front stance, are all start off in a chumbi position, your narangi sogi, right? Which is the 1 foot in between the left and the right foot. Your walking stance, your back stance, and your front stance all start, the feet are always this wide. Okay? So walking stance is 3 foot lengths deep, right? With the pivot, front stance is an additional foot to 1.5 feet deep. So as you're practicing, if you want to practice, grab an old belt or put some tape down on the floor, put 1 foot on that piece of tape, put the other foot next to it, right? And then just practice moving straight on those railroad tracks, right? Because the tendency for a lot of people is, I'm going to share the track, right? When they step, they get a little bit closer. And then pretty soon now they're tightrope walking because they're on the same line. Your feet should always stay on 2 separate railroad tracks. We just don't want the railroad tracks to be like this, right? Where we're like this and like this. That's what we don't want. Once again, I'm over-exaggerating, right? But people are doing this and like this and like this, and that's incorrect. Build your stance from your narangi sogi, your parallel stance, your chumbi position. That's where you build the stance from. Okay? All right, we got about 5 more minutes. I'm just working on the walking. Yes, Ms. Rochelle, you have a question, I can tell.
Yes, when you mentioned that you're driving your straight foot into the floor, are you actually putting in pressure?
Yes, so from here, what you want in a front stance, right? Even in a walking stance, right? You want to kind of be balanced in between both feet, right? Walking stance. It's not significant because, we're upright here. Now, anytime that you start to bend your knee, you have to concentrate on that back heel. So like with back stance, when you go into back stance here, if I don't concentrate on my back heel, then my back stance looks like this. All right? And even though my feet look like it's in the back stance position, you can tell that my weight's not distributed correctly. All right? So, in order for me to get that correct, I have to concentrate on that back heel. I'm putting that back heel on the floor. Now you can tell. Can you tell now that I'm in a back stance? Much better because now I'm lined up here. Okay? Front stance is the exact same thing. So from here, right, if I just do this, okay, if I do this, does my back foot look like it's bent or my back leg look like it's bent to you?
A little bit.
A little bit, right? Okay, because it is. Because I haven't put any emphasis. Now, if I push my heel down, watch what happens. Okay, so from here, right, here's what I was showing you. Now I've pushed the heel down. Can you tell that it's straighter now?
Yes, sir.
All right, so here, I'll even show you with my knee bent, all right? So here, that's what I was doing. When I push it down, you can tell there, right? And so what that does is it grounds me, right? Because think about like if someone's trying to push you in your stance. Is your stance solid enough where you can maintain your ground? Or are you going to lose your balance, right? Anytime, one of the tricks that I'd like to do sometimes when people are doing Poomsae and I count it out, like I'll go Hana, and I'll have them do a down block, right? Like this, right? And then I'll walk up to them and I'll push their block or I'll push their chest. And then I'll see them do this, right? They'll fall back because they're not grounded, right? So now they come here. All right. So she goes into a good, proper front stance here, right? And she's in line. Now she's trying to anticipate what I'm going to do, right? But if I normally just push here, see how balanced she is? She's not even, I'm pushing, okay? You see her head jerking, right? Okay. Now, if she has a weak stance, right, where she's not pushing that back heel down, okay? Right? And I do the same thing. You see? See what happens, right? Same amount of force. All right? So it's important. We don't practice this enough. People don't practice pushing that back heel down enough. All right? And so that's from a concept, you want to understand that. You want to understand why we do it this way. Right? When you've got that heel down into the ground, now you've got a solid base. You're not going to be moved by it. Okay? By any inversion or whatever. Okay? Great question.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Mr. Beaton, you writing notes down? You got a question? Okay. You're good. It's a good thing I can read lips because you're on mute, you know. So. All right, let's take a quick break, get some water. All right. Here you go, sir. Do you need help with the Poomsae, sir?
Well, I can always use critique, sir.
Well, just, that's movement-wise. You feel comfortable with all the movements and everything?
Most of it. I mean, I have most of. I've been doing them not as much as I used to, but
Okay.
I still have most of it memorized. I
Okay.
think, as far as the movements go.
Okay.
That was always a fun one right there. That's a good one. I don't have so much problem on the balance on that one. I think it's just when
It's because you have strong thighs.
uh,
Strong thighs. Strong core. These guys don't yet.
I tend
She's
to,
gotten a lot stronger because her sit-ups are getting better. All right.
I tend to when I come down, I do the first one. When I do this one,
Too big.
yeah, it's too big, and then I
Over rotate. Yeah, everyone does that. Everyone does that. So one step, 1 foot length. So if I do my spin here and I come around, I should be here theoretically. 1 foot length. Yeah, it's just 1 foot length. So basically, if I'm here on the one and I'm going to here, I want to get to here, around here. All right. Most people go from here and they go like to half. And that's too big. Once again, it's just like anything else. The bigger you go with it, all right, the more chance you're going to lose your balance. All right. And you get sloppy. And it's not as fast. Imagine yourself as an ice skater. All right. When an ice skater goes into their spins, they make it really tight so they can accelerate into those spins. And that's the key. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to accelerate. Well, chamber, pump. Yeah. You have to transition in the middle of the spin. That's just a load, right? It's just like this, right? It's just like, right? You're loading the technique. That's all you're doing. All right, Miss Rochelle, do you want to work on anything in particular for the next half of class? Or are you okay with keep working on the stances and details a little bit?
I'm okay with the second option where we continue working.
Keep working on the details? Okay, good. Okay. Do you want to, so are you okay with front stance and walking stance then?
I still need to try them out in a Poomsae.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
All right. So I'll give you a chance to work on that, and then we'll add back stance into it. Okay. Okay. Sabina, what do you need help with? You're okay? Just keep working on that front stance and back stance, or front stance and walking stance, pushing that heel down. Remember, not this. Okay? I want you to go slow. So when you do a movement, you freeze. Freeze for a long time. And then freeze. Okay? Because this is what happens. When you're practicing, you go like this. All right? Now it looks like I'm rocking back and forth with every movement. We don't want that. Okay? All right. Okay, Mr. Isaiah, keep working on your walking and front stance, please. Yeah, you're doing this. Arch of the foot. Arch of the foot. So it should be like this. Almost to the point where this leg is out parallel. So you have to have this same bend here. It's horse riding stance bend with the lift. All right. And this is the shock absorber, right? On this Hakdari Sogi, right? This is the shock absorber. So, right? It gives us a little bit of give, right? Versus kind of being straight up, and now you can't bring it back once you're straight. Yeah. Yeah. So you want to make sure basically here, right? Remember how I told you guys on Saturday, we want to think squeezing the knees, right? But from here, if we squeeze the knees, now it looks like this, right? Yeah, so we want to make sure that we're squeezing the knee and the ankle, right? So put pressure on that ankle to keep that line. Keep those 2 feet on a separate line. Okay? Hands are crossed. So as you step forward, left hand on the bottom, cross. Yeah, because you're just you're bringing it in like this. So here, 2. Oh, left foot forward. So 1, 2. Mm-hmm. Chin. Yep. So
it's straight.
this way. Yep. Straight in. Boom. Mm-hmm. So 1, 2. Yeah. 45-degree angle. Yep. Right here. Boom.
Show me the palm.
Yep.
So look at your knuckles then.
And 3. Yep. So not straight, not to the side. 45-degree angle. Boom. Yep. And thumb tucked in.
Almost like you're ready to.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And basically all you're doing is just. So that's why. Boom.
And then is it block or
Knife hand. Block. So it's just like it's just like this, but with a knife hand in a back stance position.
way back?
Back.
Way back?
Mm-hmm. Stretch. Yeah, stretch. Once again, it's volume of movement, right? Yes, you can get away with it because you're pretty strong in the upper body. You can get away from here, right? She can't, right? In order for her to have the same amount of effectiveness, this is important for her to get that, right? So we're going to be twice as strong with our upper body because if we can do it like this. So that's where now, so we've incorporated now in class when we stretch, arm circles, right? Very important because you don't realize it's like, oh, I'm limited in my movement here. See, like from here, like if you watch Michael Phelps, when he does it, yeah, right? And it gives him such great ability to be able to reach. Yeah, right? So, so we have to do the same thing. We have to be in that same kind of position. So this kind of stuff really helps us out, all right? So. Yeah, so when you land in that stance, Miss Vishali, make sure that you're pushing down on the back heel and pushing forward on the front knee. So it's like opposing forces, right? Opposing forces. That's what gives you your balance and your solid foundation. Okay? So like when you, on that one where you kicked, pop, and you land, right? You're pushing forward, but you're also driving that heel down. Same time. It takes a little bit getting used to, right? And like if you're stiff like I am, it feels so good on my calf when I can really push my heel down. I get a nice stretch in my calf muscle. All right? So you're pretty limber, so I think you're okay. You have contacts on, or did you get eye surgery? Because you have contacts? Okay. Got it. Looks nice. So much better, Miss Sabina. Ah, you did it again. On that side, you did it. The moment I compliment you, you mess it up. What's going on? Should I just not compliment you? Oh, that was terrible. That was rotten. Is that better? Nope, you did it again. So see what's happening here, Miss Sabina? Okay, once again, you are too much on the front leg. That back leg isn't on the ground very strong. So now you go from here to back here, and then you slide in. So now, once again, we get that bobble going. All right. No, don't lean. Don't lean. Push the hips back. Yeah, you just need to push your hips back. That's it. Yeah. That's the problem. People think, oh yeah, back stance, okay. So I got to put my weight. So I'm here, and then they just do this, thinking that that's going to fix it. All right? It should be this. So if I'm here normally, which is more centered, here, I just kind of push my hips back toward my backside. Causes, it does right now, because you're just not used to it, all right? And sometimes your body compensates for some of the lack, right? Sometimes for some people, yeah, their calf is so tight, that's why this is hard for them. So they're always like this. Their front senses are always like this because they can't push that heel down because that calf is like way too tight. All right? Lucas and Jasper, all right? Watch those guys and you try to get Lucas's heel down on the ground and it's hard for him because he's compensated because he can't stretch out that calf very well. So. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you'll be surprised at how much the calf affects your back. Yeah. Yeah. What are you eating, Mr. Isaiah? You eating anything? I don't know. It looks like you got food in your cheeks, like a chipmunk. You got food stored up in your cheeks. Why you got to show off all your medals to Sabina? It's kind of messed up. Sabina doesn't have that many medals. Why you got to show off all your medals like that to her? Huh? Sorry, Miss Sabina. Sorry about him. They need to learn how to take it, right? Exactly. Yeah. All right, so Ms. Rochelle, let's do that back stance now. So remember, your back stance length is just like the walking stance length, three foot lengths. All right. So once again, if you measure this out, right, in that Junbi position, okay? So when I turn this foot, it almost comes to this line that the other foot is on. All right? So from here, when I turn my foot, all right, here, and then I just go straight like this. So from here, you should see both of my heels. Or you should see my back heel. Old school, we used to do this where the heels are on the same line. And so you couldn't see the back heel. Now, okay, when you turn that foot, that heel is on the line right next to the line that the front foot is on. Okay? So it's going to look like this. Right? Heel here, heel here. Okay, so they're right next to each other. Close line. And there could be a little bit of space. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't have to be like right up against that heel. Right? There can be a little bit of space. There's nothing wrong with that. So the way you measure that is, once again, remember we talked about this. Chumbi position, your narangi sogi, your parallel stance. Just turn here, and that space just maintains. Okay? So whatever direction you're facing, all right, you have to remember that. So like when you turn in Taekwondo Hajang and do that first double knife hand guarding block from Chumbi position, you can't just move your left leg to the side, right? You have to actually move it behind a little bit so that you can get that spacing down right. Okay? So you move back a tiny bit from your Chumbi position. You're going to step back just a tiny bit. All right, so from here, right now, my heel is on the red and blue line here. So when I turn and do my double knife hand, here, you notice that my foot now is on the blue. So I'm on the red and blue line right now. And then when I step, it goes into the blue, right? Because then that gives me my spacing, my correct spacing from my Jumbi position here. Okay? And then once again, shoulder, hip, knee, heel, toes, all straight line. From here down, straight line for that back stance. So percentage-wise, 70% on the back leg, 30% on the front. So both knees still have to bend. It's just back knee bends a little bit more. Okay? And then don't try to do this like when you go into back stance. Don't try to tilt your body like lean. You want to sit like a horse riding stance, and then push your hips. Push your hips more backward toward the back leg. Okay? Yes. Yeah. That might be a little bit too much, Ms. Verschally. Looks like your hip is a little bit past your back leg on that. Okay? And the way you can practice that is get up on your wall. Get up on the wall over there. Put your foot right up against the wall. Put your hip right up against the wall. Put your shoulder right up against the wall, right? And then step out 3 steps. Bend your knee forward along the wall, right? Keep everything else touching. And that's what it should feel like. Okay? There you go, Miss Sabina, yeah. So yeah, you need to make sure, Miss Sabina, right, that knee, right, bends toward that, whatever that thing is that's next to your foot. Don't knock it over, though, with your knee. Yeah, so it's bending toward that, yep. And then all your weight, 70% of your weight is on that back leg. So the back leg has most of the weight. You still have to bend that front knee a little bit. All right? Because a lot of people, when they start to do this, they make that front foot straight. So their back stance looks like this. And this is incorrect. Right? We still want to bend the front knee. All right, we got a couple minutes left. So what other questions do the Zoom people have? Does anyone on Zoom have any questions? I'm trying not to hate, but your t-shirt's telling me to hate.
Oh, it says don't hate, you need to debate.
Ah, got it. Just say, don't hate Taekwondo. All right, so question?
Yes, so when you say 3 foot lengths deep, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So I'm going to show you from a side view. Okay, so from here, you see my foot here? So this is 1. This is 2. This is 3.
So in theory, from the heel of the front foot to the heel of the back foot, there's 2 foot lengths deep.
Yep. But the front foot is the 3rd one. So, yep. So like in walking stance. So you have the back foot, which is 1 right here, then 2, then 3. So you have like an imaginary foot length in between the back foot and the front foot. Okay. For front stance, 4 to 4.5. Okay. Now, you know, for someone like Mr. Dorian, who's really, really tall, like those 6-foot people, really tall, long legs, they're probably going to go 5. Go all the way to 5. But, okay. What I will do is I will send you a diagram with the stances. All right. Hold on. I think I have a copy of it here. So I will send this to you. It looks like this. It's going to be like this. It has just feet and so forth, and it tells you which stance and everything. Once again, these are approximations, right? Approximately 1 foot length width or 3 foot lengths deep. Okay? So I'll send this to you tonight when I get home. I'll send it to you. That way you have it as reference. You will want to memorize the Korean piece of this. So, right, your parallel stance is called narangi sogi. Right, your close stance or your attention position is moa sogi. All right, things like that. So, there's 13 stances on here. Right, you're only gonna have to be responsible for basically the 11. So the top 4 and then the bottom 3 on the right-hand side of this. Okay? Because you don't know Hakdari Sogi yet or Kyoturi Sogi, which is the assisted stance. So that'll be when you get to second degree. But yeah, I'll send that to you for reference. So I'll send it to you too, Miss Sabina, so that you don't get, oh yeah, that's right. You do already have it. I gave it to you. Okay, good. All right, anything else, ladies? No? Yes? No? Okay. All right. Well, our time is just about up, so you guys are more than welcome to keep practicing if you want, or if you want to cut out, you can cut out. I know, Miss Sabina, you already had a class earlier, so you can cut out. I know you're probably tired. Did you finish all your homework? Good job. All right, Mr. Isaiah, I see you at the house. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, bye. Question? You got it? Okay.
Natalie took care of my questions.
Good. As she should. All right. Well, that's good for tonight, ladies. All right. We'll see you. All right. No other questions, Ms. Rochelle? You good?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
Sir.
All right. Take care. We'll see you. Bye.